Hello, this is Sean Edwards, my final screencast for SSL Part C of the final exam. Um, During Part B, I did complete it and I did upload it, but that version of the code that I submitted is currently not working. During lab, I had the opportunity to sit down and really go through all my code and debug it, and I found errors in a few places. Um, I think the biggest error I had was the fact that I had used the one of the variable names in several different places. I had used uppercase letters instead of lowercase, and it was causing it to display that I had index issues where it couldn't find the variable or just little stupid problems. So I went through and I fixed all of them and all the misspellings, and now it works. So I'm gonna do the screencast on the working version so that you can see that the CRUD application and everything is currently working. Um, the second issue I had was I what I did was I structured the code in a way the user could so that the user had to be the admin to sign in, and for the login form, instead of using admin, I was using the full name, and which was causing my error. But I'll speak more on that when we go into the code and I show you how everything works. Um, okay, let's get started. When we first try to sign up, if the user tries to avoid putting in any information and hit the submit, he is prompted to fill out the field because I added a requirement statement in each of the HTML inputs just to force validation, or to hard code validation to say, so that it's already there and you pretty much can't move forward until it is done. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're gonna name this we're gonna put the full name as Sean working so you can see it in the database. We're gonna give it that username of admin so that when we attempt to log in, it does allow us to sign in. We're gonna set the password to hello, and we're gonna upload an avatar image. For right now, I'm just gonna put fake information in here just to complete the process. But I will show you the correct information when I go ahead and do the update feature. Okay. Once we have completed this, you can see the user can now sign in. It displays all of the inputted field and it says congratulations, the membership account was successful, and let's go ahead and try logging in. So it takes us back to the home page where we put in admin and the password we set up. But before we log in, I'm going to go ahead and show you that it is working in the database. If we go ahead and refresh the database, you can now see that the newest information for the newest user that I just created, Sean Working, is now populated in the database. So let's go ahead and log in. And as you can see, we're now at the dashboard or the members login page, where once you reach it, you can update your inputted information. For example, let's say I want to change my company address to 123 Beach Street. We can change that. You can change this number to some random number. Let's go ahead and keep the email the same, the phone number, and let's change this to Bahama Breeze. And once we hit update, it does change and it does now display the new inputted information. And if we go back to the database and we refresh, you can now see the new information is now in here. Is now in here, correct? Yes. I'm still having this error of it changing the database name, but on the wrong user. But I think that's happening because I have them all the same rather than different. But it does, as you can see, as of right now, it still does update in the database, and it is working. Most of this information is the same simply because I just, instead of typing something new, I just use what was existing. But this is the updated information right here. As you can see, the 123 Beach Street, which is right here, and the Bahama Breeze, which is right here. Also, the phone number has changed, and that is the working. That is working. We now go ahead and log out, and as you can see, it does show a very beautifully styled page, and it does display the name of the person who logged out, which is not supposed to be there, but I guess in my code I was supposed to comment that out. Please forgive my mistake. Now, once we hit login, it takes us back to the home page, and you can see how that works. Let's try to see what happens if we use incorrect login information. Just put in something. It does take us to this page which says sorry. So sorry, your login failed. The username or password is incorrect. And it displays the go back button, the logout button, which should also not be there, and the try again button. So let's see what happens when we hit the try again. It takes us back. Well, let's go back to that previous page if I can get back there. Right. And the logout page does take you to the actual logout, which means I probably added that somewhere that I shouldn't have, and I will work to take that out. But let's go ahead and look at the code now. Open this up. I'm not going to go over everything for time's sake, but I will go over the most important features. Here we see the beginning of the PHP and the session start. We added all the includes, which are in the models folder, and we have set up basically the class names and given them variables. And here we have the if statement, which says basically what should happen at the different states of actions. So when the MVC is in the home section, like we are here, as you can see, it says home correctly right here. It will display the header, the sign up form, the login form, and the views footer. And if we're at the sign up user, if we're doing the sign up user, it should display the header, and pretty much here's all the input fields and how they would work with the, sorry, I'm having a brain fart, how they would work with the database and giving them variable names and such. As we can see all through here, we are creating a record and which will print to the screen and also push to the database. Let me see. Right. And we're all, again, this is all what works with the logging. As you can see right here, it says admin and password. Admin, pretty much the same thing. Like once you set it, it all has to equal out to the admin to be able to view all of this, the dashboard and all of that stuff. It's kind of extensive stuff to really go through and remember it. So it does take some time to go through and remember. And I will say that the CRUD that we did, the full CRUD MVC that we did in class did play a big part in helping me to get everything pieced together and making it work. Because without a working example, this probably would have been very hard for me. I still did not get the delete users page to work, but it is there. Yeah, and that's gonna require some more work. But this is our controller, and I was just letting you take a quick look or overview of it. There's a bunch of different models, and it's kind of extensive to go through all of them, but I will talk about the most important ones, which is this one right here, which is for the SQL MySQL database, which sets up the connection to the MySSL database, which as you can see I'm on right now, and I have the client's table set up, which is the one we are currently working in. This is the delete form. I did not get this to work, and it's not in the page because I could not get it to work, so I just took it out. Again, I just realized I forgot my name in this. 1 second, I just add my name. Here is the login class. Again, we basically have everything that's required to log in, the include and all the statements of if it didn't work, and all the required fields and the input fields, and basically everything that's going to help work with the database and push the information to the database and verify the information. This is the read data document, which again is simply the same thing, and this helps work with the database. As you can see, it says we are selecting all the users in the database, and we're going to order them by ascending ID numbers. Here we are setting up a table so that the users can see all of the table. The administrator can see all the table rows and ID of all the members of the page, which will allow him to update or delete the users. But again, I did not get the delete feature to work 100%, so that might not, the row would still be there, but the delete button will not show because I did not make it work, so I took it out. This allows the user to update all the variables, or when the administrator is updating their inputted information, this will allow them to go in and change to update it. And while, as you can see, it says update clients right here to set, that will allow the user to change all of the information in the database. And this is the views class. I cannot remember 100% what this did. I'd have to go back and look at my CRUD with my notes on it to be 100% sure on what this did. But I know it is a crucial part of making the MVC and everything work, as everything else here is. Here we have our styling for the document, which has our background image and our RGBAs and basically all the basic styling of the page. The images, which I have the background image in, and the uploads folder, which takes in all the images that users submit when they are registering their avatar images. Here we have the dashboard, what displays when the admin signs in. It goes through and it says echo out all of this information that's all set up with the variables and such. This is the delete page. Again, still not working, so I did not add this functionality and stuff to the page. I could not get it to work 100%, but it is there, and I was attempting to make it work, but I could not get it to work. This is the ending of the document, basically the closing statement or the closing of the HTML. This is the beginning of the HTML where we link our style sheet, and I set my name and the title and so forth. Here we have the login form for users that have already made their accounts. Very basic HTML and so forth. Log out. Right. Let me take this out because I'll fix this. this is a logout. When the user logs out of the page, this is what the user will see. Profile is what the user sees when they log in. The profile page displays their image, their avatar, and all of that stuff. This is what you see if you are signed in. Here we have the sign up form, which is the form that takes in all the variables and all the information from the user. As you can see, is this form here on the left. That is it. I added the required markup, or required, I don't know what you want to call it, to each input, so the user is forced to add that information just so that we have it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the required field from the website because not everybody's going to have one that they want to add or whatever, but I still leave the option there for the user. And we have the update form, which is again pretty much the same form, but it allows the user to change the variables and what happens and what the information they set for the variables and all of that good stuff. Again, I'm going to go ahead and remove the required field from the website because I don't think that should be required unless you want to add it. It's not a necessity. So just going to go ahead and remove that. Sorry about that. Where do I have my code? Yes, here we have the PHP index, which basically is all I'm adding here is the controller, which does everything through the MVC, which pretty much contains everything that the index page will need, and it connects the whole thing to make the MVC work. But as you can see, that's it, and I will go ahead and submit this to you now, and thank you for your time. If you have any questions or need me to submit this version, please let me know and I will submit the code to you. Thank you for your time, and it was a great month. I appreciate everything. I learned a lot about PHP, and I'm really grateful I got the opportunity to take your class again.